All right, friends, welcome. Welcome to a series which is huge for both of these players here in Group B. We've got Margougou, who has 3 wins after 2 rounds, which is pretty respectable considering some of the big names in the group. And then we've got Dracken, who has just 1 win after 2 rounds. And if Dracken were to lose today, he would be heavily favored to be relegated out of Platinum. Now, Dracken, he was in Platinum in the previous season. No one expected him to stay up, and he did stay alive. And he's motivated to stay alive here. He's really he's expressed his love for this type of format and how important he thinks it is for the scene. So I really appreciate how serious Dracken takes it. But the reality is, Margougou is a beast, and Margougou is really good on open maps. And for Dracken, he probably needs a series win here today to really feel comfortable about survival. Now, when I did predictions before the entirety of the group stage, I predicted Margougou winning 2-1 here. Dracken did a really good job at least snagging 1 victory in most of his sets in the previous season in Platinum. And I have faith in him to be able to get a victory again. But I don't think my predictions have changed since when I placed them. I think that Margougou is my favorite to win this series. 2-1 Margougou is what I'm leaning towards. A 3-0 for Margougou would be huge for him and his hopes for playoffs. But, that also quite bad for Dracken, obviously. So, I'm curious to see how Dracken plays this. Because the last time we saw him play it was against Veleza, where he lost 3-0. And he chose to play the water approach. And when he was playing the water approach, he failed to properly scout if his opponent was going water. And actually, no, that's incorrect. He did properly scout that his opponent wasn't committing to water and feudal. But then didn't scout to confirm if his opponent was going land then, because it's usually one or the other. And then he got punished by the aggression from Veleza. So I think Dracken will have learned a lesson there, and I would expect this camel scout to be key eventually. Now, I really feel as though land control is key, and especially if I'm Margougou, I'm like, this guy likes his walls, he likes his closed maps. Let's take the fight to him on land. That's what I'd be thinking. The Japanese are pretty good at that. Malians are pretty good at that as well, though. So just wait and see. I'm really excited to see exactly how things pan out here in this series. Now, I'm just going to quote it. Maybe Hardy can get it from me or JBR and put it on screen for people on extras later. But Dracken said like 5 or 6 days ago, because they were supposed to play on one day and then Margougou's internet went out. But anyways, it was like right before they were supposed to play. They had scheduled to play. Dracken goes, by the way, Margougou, I'm going to go for a lot of monks because I know you love them. Because Margougou had recently tweeted about monks and complained about monks. And Margougou's like, good, I will too. It makes sense for players to go for the strongest units. And then Dracken was like, I'm going to show you how to dodge ballistics with them. And I wanted to bring that up again because people who don't have the pleasure of watching this live would like that perspective. So we'll see how things go. Oh dear, T90 predicted the same as me. Can I change my prediction? Listen, I was first for the first half of Titans League Season 3. And then, everything has gone wrong, okay? It's been bad. I was getting, every single one right. And then a week and a half later, it's like everything's wrong. It shows how difficult it is, I suppose. We still got lots of games left. I think Margougou 2-1 is a pretty fair prediction here, in all honesty. Let's see, Dracken, this camel scout's so important. I talked about it before. And oh man, that was so close. You see, okay, he's going to gold, right? And look at Margougou's camel scout, though. Margougou's like, all right, I see he's going to gold. Now I'm going to check and see if there's a barracks here. If there's no barracks here, it means he's going water. Dracken should be looking to see if Margougou's going land right now. His scout was in no man's land around this time when he was up against Veleza. And there's 1 militia for Margougou. And there's going to be a second, and this will be man-at-arms. Dracken scouting around to try and get answers. Margougou running forward right now. Margougou has a target. It's the wood line in the gold. Margougou's camel scout there. Drakken's camel scout here. This is the same issue he had against Veleza. He's going 2 docks. He hasn't scouted the shoreline to see if his opponent's gone for another dock. And he hasn't scouted to see if there's going to be pressure. Now, you can just assume there's going to be pressure and wall up anyways. I would almost prefer that, but this is the same vulnerability, and I wonder if this is why Margougou was happy with this being game number 1. Because it's not a map where he can apply that much pressure. But look, like right now, you should know your opponent doesn't have a second dock, and you should be thinking, what happens if there's pressure on land? The pros and cons of the situation, because Margougou is giving up on water, essentially. Now, Dracken's going to place the barracks, and he's just going to ease his way. So he's determined his opponent's not on 2 docks, so he figures, okay, maybe it's archers. I'm going to go archers now. But, like, there's no reaction because there's no expectation here that there's going to be aggression, and this just simply cannot happen. If you want to stay alive in Plat, after so many games have been played on Coast to Mountain, this could lead to a disastrous situation here. Now, he notices. I think the key here, though, is it does delay his barracks, so he can't go for the range yet. And he does what he can, and he's ready to fight off with Vils. Now, if you've got, like, 6 or 7 Vils fighting it off, you could absolutely fight off 3 men-at-arms. You might lose 1, but it's better than losing, like, 4. And, okay, there we have some quick walls and Dracken damage controls. So I felt the same when he played against Velez. Like, Drakken's ability to damage control is really good. It's just he doesn't do himself any favors by not scouting properly, right? Like, he didn't have the game sense to match the skill there. That camel is so important to Margougou right now. It needs to block the walls. Oh! Oh, God, villagers on the wrong side. Well, you're dead, Frank. I'm sorry. No, Frank, you should have just died. Well, he's going to die anyways. Oh, God. Okay, well, that works out in the end, I guess. Margougou gets kill. Well played from him. Now, meanwhile, the fire opening from Dracken never really got going, and we have a second dock from Margougou, and he's not going for an archery range follow-up, which is really interesting. He's going to go for docks, which I think could surprise Dracken. Drakken's not producing anything more on Navy. And now Dracken shows up, and now Drakken's like, holy crap. So there's been a lot of initiative for Margougou. And really impressive. You could tell Drakken's kind of struggling to keep up with things at times. But as I say that, we'll see if Margougou can save his ship. And Margougou... Oh, he blocks with the fishing ship. He saves his fire. Well played. I guess Margougou did lose 1 fishing ship, by the way. So that's not bad. And we're going to see walls for him. As the man-at-arms, I will say, I feel like they could have at least attacked a house or something, right? They could have maybe done a little bit more. But there they go for an archer. Dracken distracted. Archer dead. Oof. You could feel how much multitasking is needed here at the moment. Dracken again forced to damage control. So, I think it could have been worse for Dracken. He's not out of the game. He's not dead. He's actually got more eco than his opponent does because he's had more fishing ships. And not only has he had more fishing ships, but he has more villagers because Margougou had quite a bit of TC idle time by high-level standards. Margougou still building up with good late-game control. Yeah, like good late-game control with his walls at home, which you guys can see at the minimap. The fire is going to town here from Margougou as he gets some kills. He will also lose 1. He's happy enough to just go for the fish. But in all honesty, I think what matters the most here, because neither player really has a lot going for them on water long-term. You're not going to be able to fish that easily. I think what's important here is how much food are you bringing in with mills. There's double mill on hunt there from Margougou. And Dracken, no mill, just walking a long distance with Zebra at the moment. Still chasing down the man-at-arms. Parisa, I don't know right now. It's hard for me to know what the scheduling is for casters and such, but obviously I will bring in other people to cast occasionally. I have 0 clue. There's 3 sets every single day, and there's a lot of stuff going on for me at the moment as Margougou micros. He knew this weak man-at-arm was being attacked, and this is like the difference between the two of them, right? Margougou can get value from these tiny little moments. Those aren't the type of moments that Drakken's necessarily going to shine in. What Drakken's good at is he formulates a really good game plan. He has a good build. And that build, that strategy ends up being the key. But some of the little variations can sometimes be a spot of worry for him. Anyways, he's going to kill the man-at-arms. Well played. I'm looking at res collected here. This is important. Res collected higher for Dracken. More wood, more food, more gold. That's a crazy thing to see, in my opinion. It shows maybe the fishing ships paid off. Shows that the amount of villagers he's had on hunt and the lack of walls has maybe been key. Walls are completed for Margougou. There's a goat outside the house. No one cares, but I showed you anyways. And no range yet for Margougou as he just continues to invest into water. I think that could be a concern for him. But I could see him actually opting to go for a stable more than anything. Oh, man. If that demo would have actually connected with all those ships, that would have been beautiful. That was Margougou trying to send a sneaky demo over to kill the fishing ships, though. Which is a sign that he will just pretty much give up on water at the moment. But, you know, like, with Dracken soon having the buildings to be able to click up to Castle Age, with Dracken being up already, with Dracken having some archers, with Margougou not having any army control in the middle, you look at this situation and you think this is pretty realistic for Dracken to head to Castle Age, to get a good boom going, and to figure things out a little bit. Obviously, no walling means he's vulnerable, but vulnerable against what? There's nothing from Margougou right now to threaten him. And there go Margougou's fishing ships. He's done the right thing just to click them away. Like, force Dracken's navy away so you can produce more ships at home. And Margougou clicks up. So, again, it's like... This is my thing about Dracken. I hate to have this type of tone when he is in a winning position right now. Like, he is in a slightly better position. But imagine how good his position would have been had he just scouted the barracks and thought to look for that. This player's amazing. It's just those types of things that can make all the difference for you sometimes. I wonder if we'll see a scout here from Dracken. We're certainly going to see knights or something because he's getting bloodlines. He transitions his eco into farms around the TC. And these archers, they met walls on this side. And they're probably not going to find much damage, but Dracken just making sure. I would like to, you know, see maybe the zebra get killed. Or just patrol the archers over here in the stone and gold for later on. Beautiful farms. Yep, farms look pretty good. Just 4 farms, though. You will need more. And the concern for Dracken is, can he TC one of these areas? Like, his stone he hasn't even scouted. He's really squished in here. Camel Scout actually makes it by. And that's a smart move. And that Camel Scout's going to see the stable from Margougou. And there will be knights for Dracken. And the Camel Scout actually for Margougou is standing here. So should notice the TC is going up for Dracken. But he has no way to stop that, as he will also go for a TC. On water, it's 3 fires versus 4. Could still go either way, depending on micro. But there's still 3 fishing ships working for Dracken. And I wonder if he's tired of being doubted, you know? Actually, I should bring this up again. He messaged me because he looked at my predictions, because all the predictions are public. And he was like, Hugh, I'm T90. I say Dracken can do great things in Platinum. And yet I predict he's only going to get 3 wins, because I guess that's what my predictions came out to. Now, in my defense, thus far, I have been spot on with my predictions pertaining to Dracken. And I'm not saying I hope to necessarily be correct here today for Dracken's sake. I'm just saying... I gotta, you know, I have to predict based on how I feel about each given matchup, and that's what I did. But I think he looks at those things and looks for an extra little bit of motivation to prove people wrong. And he is looking really good right now. He's on 2 TCs. He's now on the 3rd TC over on the coast, as we call it. He's gotten great kills. He's going to have full control of water, which could lead to more fishing ships, which he's adding. And... you know, Margougou also dropping the TC here. This game is still probably going to go late. But just not a whole lot of control over the game right now for Margougou. And what I could say is, if you're a player who is in Margougou's shoes, like, you have the same expectations on yourself as players are going to have for you. You're newer on the scene, you're quick, you're speedy, you know, you're very active, and you're up against a player who is kind of known as a clown in our scene, right? An arena player. It's not an actual clown, but that's what they call themselves. And Dracken, here, game number 1, really putting up a fight. He's got a 500 score lead. And this could start to affect, you know, your decisions a little bit if you're Margougou. There could be some potential worry and nerves. I think Margougou's got the skill. He's got the ability to fight through that, obviously. And having seen this matchup before, I actually think Japanese Cav Archers is the play. I don't know what it is, but it's like, okay, think about it. If you go for Knights long-term with Japanese, Malians have camels, Malians... I mean, Japanese Knights kind of suck anyways in the long run. So, I mean, that's a reason in and of itself not to do that. If you go for infantry, then... You know, the Malians have pretty solid infantry. They can research chemistry really quickly and get the gunpowder out. Feels like infantry is maybe even too slow because the bases are really far away. Uh-oh, there is a hole. That's a really unfortunate hole there for Dracken, but great job from Margougou to find some kills. And he's actually going to have to delete these knights, I think, so they don't get converted. So that'll be fun to watch. Loses one and deletes the second. But yeah, the players are really far apart. And you want mobility. If you go for infantry, you don't really have the mobility. Malians also don't have the best of skirms. So, like, I don't know. Like, Samurai Arbalest, that combination is really good. But I would like to see Cav Archers eventually. I just feel like it's natural. You have one stable. You already have Bloodlines. That applies to the Cav Archers. A barracks? Okay, so he maybe wants to go, like, pike play. I could actually see Margougou thinking about bringing a villager forward. Trying to control this with some pikemen. With knights. Wasn't expecting to see a barracks there. Anyways, close game here. Guys, really close game. This series is gonna be epic. And it, like, if Dracken loses this series, he's a big favorite for relegation. He wins the series. Still wide open on who gets relegated in this group. And we don't even know what's going to happen with Miguel next. When Miguel plays ACCM. Archers are still out here, which could help against pikes. There's also siege. And this is the type of fight that Drakken's more suited towards, right? Like monks, pikes, siege. That's kind of his thing. If it was like crossbow only, you know, crossbow siege, those require a little bit more nerdy plays at times. And speaking of, remember they talked about monks. I could see Atonement potentially coming in eventually. Dracken just converts 2 Vils, though. So, Dracken spots that it's Pike Knight Monk. He clicks up to the Imperial Age. Kind of a risky time to do so, because your opponent's investing a lot into army. So you now need to hold, and this villager's blocking the way, which is kind of funny, as there's going to be another monk, and that might send Margougou back as he gets hit with rocks in the back of his head. And there goes Dracken on the way to Imp, dropping archer ranges. There will be a university somewhere, I'm sure. And Dracken is actually making more archers, but I think he just wants to eventually go towards hand cannons. We do see Atonement for Margougou, so Margougou wasn't kidding. He's like, I'm going to make monks too. Because I think they're really strong. But the pikes haven't really felt needed. They haven't felt like they've soothed the situation all that much. As Dracken just leaves with his knights. And Margougou is going to run with his knights as well. University is there. Yeah, so that's going to research chemistry. Actually, it'll probably get ballistics in a second. And then chemistry. And it'll all come in really quick. So it's actually mainly the siege that is going to be the most effective for Margougou. Margougou has added scouts, though, so he could kill the monks from Dracken. He does have +2 armor as well, so the scouts are pretty strong. They're not light cav, though. I don't think he has redemption, so he can't convert the siege. Important times as we see the knights go back here, and Dracken with the quick walls. I think that there's still a hole there, though. I could be wrong. A couple camels are made because the camels spot this. Now the scouts loop in. This is tough for Dracken to deal with this all at once. This is what I mean. You know, when you click up to Imp, you just don't have as much army. But here, Margougou has to run away. He'll actually take the fight. Probably win the fight against the camels just due to the numbers and upgrades. Drakken's up. Now, first thing, chemistry. First thing, chemistry. That'll be in 50 seconds. Dracken needs to make sure he does not take any poor fights here. Then he should be able to push back. There is a castle going up here. Can Margougou see that? He can. Dracken siege gets pulled to the side. Dracken kills the siege from Margougou. And now the crossbows, again, they're soon going to have chemistry. Now they might push out, but, you know, the Knights are still doing damage here for Margougou. The Lycav are kind of helping here. Margougou hasn't clicked Imp yet, guys. And, well, it's not enough of a push from Margougou. He needs to get Imperial Age behind this. I'm seeing more Knights in queue from him. Here, his Knights, they're starting to go down to the TC fire, and the crossbows are pushing forward. Dracken's going to complete this castle. And, I mean, Arbalest is in. And the Lycav that was converted is killing all the monks. And holy crap, guys. Dracken in game 1 looking to push back. This game's going to be epic, though, because this castle for Margougou will likely hold the position for a time. He did still harass enough. My worry for him is lack of gold. Like, he's not taking enough gold. He needs to get more villagers on gold soon somewhere. He only killed 18 vills. 17 arbs on the field. This is with a civ, though, that doesn't get bracer. So, you know, eventually, not having bracer feels like a really big weakness. I could tell the thought process from Margougou because I've been there so many times myself. You think you're going to be, you know you're behind, so you try and find a moment where you can produce a lot and just send what you've got for map control. But unfortunately, I don't know if he really got the value he needed. Now, there's still potential because there's still openings that he can find. But I think Dracken, if he sees this castle, he will then bring forward Trebs and Treb this castle down. It is just Lycav and just Knights from Margougou. And he has to avoid the main army for the time being. And he needs to somehow plan for a way to find the Trebs. That Treb is actually going to be on the other side of the tree line hitting that castle, which is pretty sick. Big Mangonel shot landed here because Dracken is distracted due to the raids. Margougou does have a slight population lead as he killed quite a few vills over here. He's killed 30 vills now. Here, Dracken's distracted. Monks are kind of getting killed off, but Dracken's just trying to focus on this push. And just needs to produce more arbs right now. He's only got 14. He's just really busy at the moment. So it still feels unlikely Margougou can hold against all this. But you can see the payoff at least from what Margougou has produced. Guys, this is pretty sick. I mean, Dracken's playing amazing here. Margougou is such a special talent. And Dracken just shows up in tournaments. He prepares. He's super consistent. He's got great economy. And I think he can be even better, right? Like, I think he can be better than he has shown in this game. Just a couple tweaks. Like, the tools are in his toolbox, you know? And, oh, man, you're in Castle Age still. You're trying to get into skirms. But, I mean, you can't... Like having Skirmisher is just going to struggle so much in the long run here. You need to have numbers. And you don't have the numbers. And the arbs are here. And the siege could push forward. And here we have Lycav running through to try and raid. There are still camels for Dracken. He probably will have to produce more to deal with this. This castle for Dracken should go up. It protects the shoreline where there's stone and gold. And then he's still just sitting here with all these arbs. And yeah, sure, you don't get Bracer on the Arbalest, but you have Arbalest. Your opponent doesn't have Bracer, and they're in Castle Age. The Arbalest should have enough damage with chemistry to be able to push back the skirms. And there's the Lycav raids. Margougou up to 35 villager kills. I would really like to see Tigui researched. I think it helps with the raids when you're not paying attention, especially against Castle Age units. Yeah, you can see the Arbalest just do enough. And then the Trebs can start to take out TCs and buildings. And I think Margougou might call it soon, guys. And Margougou's going to have to try and respond in this series. If he could recover, it'd be something else. Because obviously, still have Dracken's home map waiting for what would probably be game number 3. Villagers going to take out that Treb. Congratulations to them, but there used to be a 30 vil lead for Margougou, and that has disappeared. Dracken has locked down the shoreline. Dracken has defended his main base. He will push forward here with another castle soon. He's even going for Cavalier now. This one's over. Oh, man. And Tigui's on the way. Those TCs will fire arrows even when not garrisoned now. Cavs out, which will easily deal with the skirms. Dracken showing up, playing like a beast, yet again with a more open map pool this season. He had just one win coming in, like winning against Miguel, but they haven't played yet. And winning against Margougou would be so important if he wants to snag that 4th place spot yet again. Still does have potential for the 3rd place spot, right? It's going to be tricky. He's going to need a lot of favors. But remember, Veleza only won 2 games versus Margougou. Margougou beat him once. And then Veleza 3-0 Dracken. So, you know, with those results in mind, you would think that this would be advantage Margougou today. But game 1, it's been all Dracken. What a sick recovery from him. He cannot be broken now. And Margougou's, I mean, definitely sweating a little bit. I've been a favorite in many tournament sets, and I've lost the first game. I do the same thing. Play on for a bit longer. You're staring at the screen like, oh, God, I can't believe this happened. Can't believe this happened. You got to, like, try and get used to the fact that you've lost, and then call the GG, and then you just move on and try and forget about it, moving on to the next game. Dracken gets the win. A sick game from him, man. That was really well played. Res Collecta is actually pretty close. I think the big thing was, like, Margougou's pikeman choice. It didn't actually suit the situation at all. Like, he went pikeman when his opponent just stayed on 4 knights and never produced any more. He tried to produce a lot. He produced a lot more knights. He got a lot more upgrades, but it just took so long for the timing to happen, and by the time it did, Dracken had made it to the Imperial Age. A beautiful game from Dracken, 2-1 KD, and a big confidence boost for him. And now Drakken's got to think, I've got my home map for game number 3. I might have Margougou on tilt a little bit. Let's just go all in with scouts. Let's go crazy here on the home map for Margougou. It would be a huge result for him if he could end up getting a victory here in the next game too. Okay, so here we are, game number 2, and we have Chinese as the choice for Dracken. Now, Chinese, really tough civilization to get a smooth start with. And I think if you're Margougou, you've got to go lame, right? You've lost the first game, and then you're against Chinese here. Chinese do struggle if they have 40, 50 seconds of TC idle time. They lose out on even 2 sheep, 3 sheep, something along those lines. And the Mezzo civs are known for doing this. Inca's coming forward here, and that's instant find from Margougou. There is a big risk in picking the Chinese, because if you are lamed, if you lose resources, it can be awkward, as I said. But I like the risk, because if your start's good, Chinese are really tough to break once their eco gets rolling. Now, Margougou, he's gonna be looking for all sorts of kills here, right? And we'll see what he can find. I think Dracken has seen him, though. And Dracken, even with that garrison there, like, even with that garrison there, he might have 5 seconds more TC idle time. Like, all these little things add up for him. Dracken knows this boar is there. He knows his other boar's on the back. I could see Margougou trying to steal this. I think Drakken's trying to get into position. Is Margougou going to try and steal it? Drakken's waiting. He doesn't see it moving. He's now just moving along to scout. Now, he obviously still knows he's down 2 sheep. What he really needs to find is some deer. Where are his deer? Here. Where are the deer for Margougou? Sorry, the scouts did find each other. I guess Margougou's deer are really far as well. That also hurts with the Chinese. I don't know how consistent that is to other gens, to be honest, but I remember people pushing in deer. It's just they haven't been laming. They've just been deer pushing. Feels like the deer are very far, though. Now, that definitely is going to affect things. But Margougou comes home. Again, just doesn't feel like either player really has deer in close distance. It's just a bit further than where they've scouted. Like, this is pretty far. This is similar distance, right? The 3 of them around there. And that will make life awkward here for Dracken. So we pushed out a patch for graveyards after Vivi full walled it at one point. And it was just all surrounding, you know, keeping it a bit more open. And anytime there's some inconsistencies, we try and do our best. With an RMS script, obviously, it's always random, though. So there's all these different elements. But Dracken should probably just push one of those. I think he's looking for his sheep, though. But at this point, an eagle's already done a full little tour of your base. You have to know, dude. You have to know those sheep have been stolen. Margougou back on the prowl with the eagle, looking for kills. Has added the barracks. And will aim to go for militia. He started with the llama. And then, because of Incas. And then he also has 2 additional sheep. So he's got a lot more food to work with. And then the Chinese also start with 0 food in the bank. Let's see how Dracken can too. I remember on Arabia, Dracken played Chinese twice in the previous season. He almost beat Leary 1 time. Chinese versus Saracens, which was epic. And then the other time, I forget who he was up against, but it was clear, like, just couldn't quite have this cleanest start, couldn't quite defend from all the builds that players were sending his way. In fact, he was trying to go for full wall, I remember. And I just forget who it was against. And it very much felt like, well, some risks were taken. Oh, God, he had a sheep over here that I think he forgot about. I have no other explanation for why a random sheep was over there, and that actually just got found by Margougou. So you didn't push deer. You're down 300 food. You know your opponent's drushing. You really need to farm. This is why, like, Chinese are quite risky if you don't get that perfect start down. This is so reminiscent of what we saw from Dracken before. Ay, 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 ay. Never pushed any deer. Maybe he had an opportunity. Maybe he didn't. But starting with no food has really hurt Dracken at the moment. The positive is that Margougou's delayed his feudal age click up with what he's done. And yet again, Drakken's actually done a really good job to damage control. And he doesn't really know what to accomplish with his scout at the moment, but his scout has gone forward. Margougou's going to click and look at all the food from Margougou. So you know what's interesting, Chad? I was thinking about this the other day because I was looking at win rates in ranked games. And I was looking at like Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas. And I was like, I'm really surprised that those civs don't have higher win rates than what I'm seeing. And then I remembered that at least at the high level, nobody uses the eagle aggressively in Dark Age to try and steal stuff. Players don't lame each other, right? They don't lame. And so that's why the deer pushing meta is so heavy in ranked games as well, because players are never expecting their sheep to be stolen. And, you know, they're never expecting the eagle to, like, attack a villager and whatnot. But in tournaments, players go to town with the eagle immediately if they're smart, and that's exactly what happened. Now, Dracken is farming in the Dark Age. There has to be a point where you just idle, though. It's not ideal, but right now you just have to stop producing a vill. Like, you cancel that vill when you've got a click. This could get worse for you. And Margougou is actually seeing the farms as well. So Margougou is probably like, what? But Dracken, not wanting any additional idle time, chooses not to go for... He's still producing vills. Chooses not to go to feudal age at all. Behind this, we have the range for Margougou, who has had food galore here. So he's had plus 400 food over his opponent. And then his opponent has had minus 300 food. And I'm trying to think. And then what? They start with minus 200 in the bank, right? It's been a very big difference. Margougou's got to make sure he hops on the treadmill later with all this food, man. This is too much food to deal with. Having said that, like, Margougou doesn't have archers yet. And Drakken's, like, again, showing a strong tendency to stay alive. Res collected. It's probably decent. He's collected more because of having more vills. This has been far from ideal, but he's not broken yet. And Margougou just sending forward an eagle, just now making an archer. That was a little late. And showing some patience here. Hasn't really gone for a villager, but I feel like at some point you've got to make your move. And this is it. Eagle's going to block. Good patience from Margougou to finally wait, and he's going to get a snipe. Even bringing forward another eagle here. Yikes. He just runs over here for gold. So this is this Dracken going fast castle now? As he just figured, screw it. I got my win. I'm just going to... And this is bad. We're just going to go for something entirely unheard of. Here comes the eagles and the archer. Oh, don't have the barracks completed yet either. You ideally would have the barracks completed already. the barracks was completed, you could go for a range or a stable or whatever your follow-up was. And it's been an interesting type of game as Margougou tries to kill another villager. Will not get another villager kill, and Dracken builds a tower. Guys, Margougou never scouted this. This is so important. Why does this feel like Dracken can get away with this? There's just something about it. Because Margougou's thinking he can't take golds, and he's had a disaster start. I just have to not make any mistakes, and I win. Dracken is going for a market. He has a stable. If he could get onto knights, and Margougou's really open at home, could definitely see Dracken getting the job done here. It's been a very weird game in terms of timings, but Drakken's gonna click up. What in the world? You've got to stop this somehow. I think you just have to pull Vills. Actually, the fact that the Eagle got through here is really going to be a problem. But actually, no. No, what's the problem with them getting through? It doesn't actually accomplish anything for Margougou to go through. You actually have to fight that instinct. And you have to not lose villagers. And then, you know, the tower kind of does the job of protecting some of this. Now, Margougou is attacking any villager he can see, including he should attack farms. If you attack farms, villagers can't bring in food. But if Margougou looked for this, like, I think Margougou thinks that this is fast castle without gold right now for Dracken. But Drakken's little escape onto the gold actually gives him an opportunity here. He's going to have to drop a blacksmith here so he can get an upgrade or two. If that gold continues to be undiscovered, this game goes late at the very least. This is wild. Margougou clearly doesn't think that his opponent has any gold. There's lots of weak villagers. Look at how many villagers have been hit in this game from Dracken, but he hasn't lost vills. And the guy is just, again, somehow in it. In a situation where so many other players would just be dead. He's just got a knack for it, man. So he reaches castle. We will have knights on the way. 2 minutes away from Castle Age is Margougou. Now, Margougou doesn't know his opponent can really make a lot of knights. Margougou going to maybe try and collect some of his archers and bring them together so they don't die here. Saying that, he's going to lose some archers. We'll probably see Margougou make some spears behind this. Dracken will drop the monastery to heal up any weak knights and maybe to get relics, which is really important on graveyards because there's relics everywhere. Margougou is losing his archers. Margougou has had so much crap happening. He's just been tossing all this army forward constantly all game, and Drakken's in it. Drakken's going to have a villager lead. Drakken's going to have an army lead potentially. What in the world? And this is just not a situation you encounter on Arabia games if you're Margougou. Like, this whole thing is just so weird because it's graveyards where there's golds elsewhere. And it just never... Because a lot of players, they played... Well, all these players have played the games thousands of times, is you just get a feel for situations, but graveyards is different. And this whole game is played out different. Now, Knight does go down there. I think that's something I'd like to see, you know, not take place there. I'd like to see the Knight, yeah, pulled away and healed up in an ideal world, but nothing about the start was ideal for Dracken, and he somehow just turned this into a fast castle. Really incredible stuff. Behind this at home, we've got a monastery and triple barracks for Margougou. So Margougou is going to try and go eagles and monks. A danger for Margougou is he really likes heavy gold and like heavy marketplace, so like crossbow timings. Instead of going 2 barracks, he always goes 3, right? Like, lots of army is basically the point. And if Dracken goes in with an economic approach here, as we see the Eagles run forward and actually will kill a monk there, very well played. You know, if the army counts too high and it's the wrong type of army, you could see that maybe being a concern. All that said, we do have Dracken going 2 stables here. So Drakken's going kind of all-in-ish. I feel like going for numbers is completely fine. But yeah, Margougou should recognize that his opponent's probably on gold somewhere. But now your opponent can just take this gold. So it's not like you have to go looking for the other gold. I think what's going to happen is the monks might go out to get relics and might find it. Both players trying to get relics. I don't know. Like, Dracken continues to send monks this way. And it feels like this is very wasteful for him. If I would have, preferred to, for his sake, to not see those monks just run out time and time again like that. Dracken's gone forward, though. He's focused. They're so focused on so many different things. And Margougou finds him, has spears and eagles. Over here, Margougou is really close. Okay, watch this. Margougou might see the villager headed that way with a pickaxe in her hand and might realize there's gold there because of that. See if Margougou's thinking, why would a villager be going there? Eagles are over here at the same time. There's also the fight here, which Dracken is taking and winning. 4 eco kills from Margougou, who is killing more eco, and Dracken's really falling apart now. Now, again, that's like not the first time you've seen a villager head that way. And actually, you're a stupid, stupid guy. Why did you do this to your people? Oh, no, villager. Oh, it's been found. And now it all makes sense for Margougou, I'm sure. And Margougou's paying attention to this. Dracken's going to try and complete a TC here, but more villagers will have to die, and quick walls are needed. And finally, all this aggression from Margougou and all this map control has paid off for him. And Dracken, he really needs some big fights now because you could tell that Margougou is really feeling it. Margougou with 2 relics. Margougou probably with the classic 7-ton. Ah! When he sees that TC going up. Palisade wall actually needs to be... No, it'll be fine. The eagles could be shot down. Knights should actually have an amazing fight here, though. This is not a fight you want to take if you're Margougou. I believe? Am I wrong? Well, maybe you don't want to take it close to your opponent's base because there might be monks coming, but... Actually felt like that would have been a really good fight for Dracken to take as he chooses just to run away. Anyways, 2 TCs for Dracken. He's at 42 vils. It is 3 TCs for Margougou, who's at 52 vils. And Margougou has done a very nice job here after not being able to kill Dracken early. Dracken should be able to get a couple more relics. I think the worry here is like, what happens? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't have market events on. Guys, that's really bad. I should have had that this whole time. I did community games yesterday, and I have it turned off for that. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. You know, Incas, their units are just so cheap on food. And so it's pretty easy when you've already have the barracks technologies to also just think about pikemen now. And that is going to be a knight converted. Well played, Margougou. Will lose the monk, but he'll take that. And Margougou's still just swooping in randomly with units, trying to get kills, and saw the monks and wants to kill the monks and kills 1. Is going to kill 2 monks just like that. Wow, amazing trades here from Margougou. It feels like what Dracken wanted was he wanted a nice snowball of knights against the eagles. And he never really got that here. The KD says it's looking pretty good for him. But there's just so much more army for Margougou. And at this point, Margougou on his home map, looking to recover, has collected way more resources in this game. And is pretty solid upgrades and should be able, keyword should, to go towards a victory from here. Because the Vil count is just rising as Dracken doesn't react here because Dracken's getting hit over here and quick walling. So the simultaneous attacks from Margougou pay off. We'll lose some eagles. But 6 relics at home for Margougou. And then we have even pikemen coming in now. Just crazy the amount of production from Margougou. 4 barracks soon. Nice farm, dude. Never make fun of my farms. I like it, though. I respect it. Relic number 8's going to come in, too. Oof, this is going to be tough to break. So, you know, the point of the game is even past where you can go light cav. Because Pike's going to be out. So that's a big issue. And as we'll see this knight get confused and switch sides, probably. No, why'd you kill him? You could have brought him back. Margougou's still able to pressure here. He just runs underneath. Dracken reacts, and then he runs away. And I'm sure he'll be back eventually. Big focus on the main fight, though. Looks like he is happy to just idle those villagers. 80 villagers versus 55. Crazy. It feels like, Dracken's playing open, and because he knows he's behind, he wants a big fight and maybe a forward castle, which is why he's on stone so heavily. But yeah, this is not a fight that's going to go well for him at all. Not with the upgrades that we're seeing. I think you just take the fight on the hill. Now, you don't give up the hill, ideally. You back up to the hill, take the fight if you're Margougou. Conversions are coming in. These are going to be pikes and eagles with full armor. That is so much army for Margougou, who wants to bounce back in this series after losing the first game. And he's bringing villagers to send a statement. It might be a castle. Dracken knows it. And honestly, guys, what an interesting game. It was a really rough start for Dracken, who got lamed. Didn't do himself any favors with losing the 100 food and the 1 sheep there. I also think you just have to push deer. You just have to. But the Dark Age farm into fast castle and sneak villagers on the gold, it actually worked out. Like, it actually turned this into a game. Just wasn't quite able to get it going, and Margougou's economy was really good. Obviously, on the back of all of Margougou's feudal age pressure, he had good eco upgrades, which Dracken had to catch up on. And we're going to see the third game. Now, live standings, Margougou now has 4 wins. Dracken has 2. If this goes 5 for Margougou and is still 2 for Dracken, it's going to be really tough because Margougou would be in 4th place, most likely, with 5 wins. And 4th place is the lowest place that you can survive in. So I think Dracken needs this one. And he can definitely get it because it is his home map. So odds are, because I came in today thinking Dracken was going to win Hideout. Dracken could maybe take the series 2-1. Let's see. Man, this game is so freaking important, man. I'm so pumped. It's so important for both of them. Oh, man, it makes me happy. We've got Dracken here in the red, hoping to get a win on his home map and hoping to win his first series in Platinum. And winning 2-1 over Margougou would be great because realistically, it feels like Dracken is competing the most with Margougou and with Miguel on who ends up staying alive at the conclusion of this group. Margougou has gone for the Malay, and the Malay have had insane win rates on hideouts. They've looked like one of the best, actually. I think they probably have the best win rate. Well, they probably don't have the best win rate because I think there's been 1 or 2 civilizations that have been played once, maybe, that got a win. Like, I think when Viper played with Mongols, that was the only time I'd seen that. And that was 100%. So anyways, the win rate's been really good. And a lot of players have been trying to theorize on how to play against the Malay. Because on paper, many people think that Britons are still pretty good against them. But Britons have been dying against them because of the timings. That's just one example. Dracken's gone for the Bengalis, which to me thinks this could go very late. Because it is hard to pressure the Malay in feudal or castle because Malay advance so much faster than you. And the Bengalis get additional villagers when they arrive to the next age. So while Dracken is known for his pressure on this type of map and known for his monk play, I do feel like he may opt for the other extreme just because of how difficult it is to pressure the Malay. But then again, it's like, it's an arena player. He likes monks. Bengalis have super armored monks. I feel like maybe we should see that. What's T90's prediction again? I predicted 2-1 for Margougou. And I predicted that before all of Platinum started, and I also predicted that before the series started today. Right now, I think you got to lean towards Dracken because this is Dracken's home map. And it would just, it would be so good for our entertainment to see Dracken get this win because it'll just make the group so much closer. Actually, would be really good for the other player that's really going to be hurting to survive in Miguel, right? Because basically, if Margougou wins this, Margougou's then got a big lead over Dracken and Miguel. Dracken wins. Dracken goes up to 3 wins. Miguel, later on today, he's going to play ACCM. Maybe he snags a win there. Takes him to 2. So you'd have Margougou at 4, Dracken at 3, Miguel at 2. We'll see. Choosing Malay on a lands map is not an obvious choice. What are the advantages besides the faster time to the next stage? So yeah, I'll break it down because I think there's definitely some people that, knowing the melee bonuses, don't quite know why the melee feels so strong. So the important thing to realize with what I'm about to explain is when you're advancing faster to the next stage, you are spending less time not producing villagers out of that TC, okay? So that means you have a villager lead, which will amount to, against normal civs, a 3 villager lead. Against Bengalis, it would actually, I guess, just be 1 because Bengalis get 2 more vills. But yeah, so there's that aspect. And then the build that we see a lot of players go for with the melee, I don't actually think we're going to see it here from Margougou, is you can advance fast to feudal, rush the eco upgrades like the wooden food upgrade, or I guess the wooden farm upgrade specifically. And then you eventually make it to Castle Age, still around 15 minutes. You have a 6 villager lead. You've got a flowing economy. And then, oh, you're going to pressure the melee? Well, congratulations. You've just pressured a civilization that's an imp faster than you. You're going to play defensive against the melee? Well, congratulations. The pros have now taken map control and they've dropped a forward castle and they're trepping you. The timing's huge. But it is not the fast feudal build. Or maybe it is for Margougou. But I would always go 20 pop. But okay, it's not the end of the world here. What is important, though, is that Dracken doesn't have his scout out and about. Dracken should know that the majority of the time players have been playing melee, they've been going fast feudal. And he's so experienced on arena maps. I'm shocked he's moving out with his scout right now. You can tell Margougou saw it go this way and he's chasing it down. That's going to be a dead scout for Dracken. That's really bad. I mean, unless somehow he can avoid this, but Margougou has guessed correctly, and now he sees it. Oh, that's huge for Margougou. Yeah, that's a dead scout. There's no getting away with it now, and Dracken should know, and Dracken should just attack. You just fight, because you're not going to save it. Yeah. You hope you kill the enemy scout, because the scout was a bit weaker earlier, but he's not even looking now. Margougou, with good work, pulled out the villager, and now the scout, now you're playing blind. Now you don't have any intel on what your opponent will go for. Also, Dracken does need to remember to build a house here because he will go up to 25 population when he hits the next stage because of the +2 vills. All things you'd expect him to know, though, right? Like, surely he's going to make a house here in a second. If he does not, he will be immediately pop locked, and that will stop the production of the next villager. You just don't think about it because you think, oh, usually you produce 2 vills and go up to the next age. So he might have forgotten. Oh, no, make a house. Make a house, Dracken. Make a house. This is your home map. Make a home for your vills. And he's going to be down a villager because he gets pop locked. At least. At least. Boom, immediately housed, can't produce villagers. He's had nothing going on this whole time. And he forgot. And that is definitely something that, at this level, is a big oops. Behind this, Margougou has gone for the wood upgrade. He's gone for the farm upgrade. He somehow found the water buffalo somewhere. Maybe he just had it somewhere else in his base. Margougou's got full vision, full scouting. And eco should be amazing here for Margougou. And there goes Dracken to the next stage. So, I think 2 big mistakes from Dracken thus far. Sending the scout out against the melee when everyone's doing the feudal boom with them. That's mistake number 1. Obviously down a villager from where he maybe should be because of getting pop locked. All things he can recover from. And the Bengalis...
Yes.
They can help you recover because you get the additional villagers again once you reach Castle Age. So I'm not seeing many farms yet, but I think Dracken will do that here. Yeah, just after Horse Color completes. These farms will be finished, so that should be good. I'm actually worried about this farm. I think it's going to complete before Horse Color. It completed before Horse Color. So, okay, so he does 75 less food on that farm now. But milliseconds in it. Feels like we'll definitely see monks. I just don't know how many monks. This still could easily be a boom build. All right, so let's look at res collected from Margougou. Res collected looking pretty even right now, right? Margougou will have a stable to make more scouts, which is always solid if you think there's going to be monks out there. The efficiency is really nice. Every single one of these farms has horse collars, so they'll last a very long time. And Margougou will be up just a minute later to the next stage. I'm curious to see what the Vil count looks like then, but this is kind of that build that everyone's been going for. You have a 15-minute castle age on the back of really good eco upgrades. And this is why players love the melee. Second TC for Dracken. Again, I was thinking in this matchup, you probably need to just take it late. You might not be able to have many relics if Margougou has the scouts out there. I think Margougou, if he knew the gold was here, he would pressure, but he just doesn't have enough vision to see that. But what a weird feeling this must be right now for Dracken. Well, Margougou will be able to see the TC if he looks for that. Okay, so I think there's one Civ that can compete really well with the melee. I'm surprised we haven't seen it more. I think we will see it in later stages. If you guys had to guess what civilization I think can compete with the melee really well in this map, what do you think it is? Feel free to give your input on that. I'm going to wait on saying what I'm feeling for a moment. Dracken already has additional armor on his monks because of being Bengalis, but he's going to go for Sanctity for one monk. Just hoping this monk can convert the scout. Humans? Okay, well, humans, yes, but I feel humans are already in the established territory. That's a really good one, yeah. But, like, beyond humans, beyond the Malay, beyond Britons. Okay, no one's saying it. It's shocking to me. Nope, not Italians. Vietnamese. Vietnamese. They have insane ranged units. They faster researching eco technologies. Their eco technologies don't cost wood. Like, their ecos maybe just a tiny little step behind the Malay with this build, and then they have really strong units to defend from it. Like Imperial skirmishers, arbalest. That's what I was thinking. Here goes the loneliest monk in the world. Yeah, I think Vietnamese are an underrated pick. I think we'll see them. I've had some discussions behind the scenes. I definitely know some players have it on their radar. You got to delete that scout there, my friend. It's a Bengali monk. It's a Bengali monk. Margougou doesn't delete, and now Dracken has a scout, and that scout could be useful. This is the scout that wasn't before. This is the son that monk never had. That scout could go kill monks now. This monk's going to go hide now, and he will probably die. So I think Margougou was probably thinking, at least I can kill the monk. But now your opponent has a scout. So you would really need to group two scouts together to be able to engage against the monk. I think he was thinking there's always a chance he gets the kill because due to the fact that he probably didn't realize Sanctity was in. It was actually a pretty interesting play to see Sanctity so early. But that should mean the one scout should never be able to get a kill. By the way, Vil count for Dracken, pretty good. Eco for Dracken, really good. Res collected higher for him as he goes for TC number 4 even. And I really feel if you see this type of TC, maybe a Siege Workshop could have been in order. But I guess against the Megalis and against an Arena player who could just go for Redemption to convert the Siege, maybe it doesn't feel natural. One relic collected for Margougou. The scout for Drakken's looking around. He'd never scouted this before, so he does not know that there was a relic there at all. So he can't determine that there's probably a monk bringing back the relic. There's even a spearman there protecting as Margougou. Oh, there's two monks there. Okay, I didn't actually see them. That one monk is uncomfortably close to the spearman. But that could even be another relic coming home. Drakken's looking, though. He's looking. He's just missing. You could tell he's just scouting the dark areas, and this all comes down to losing that scout. I like the 4 TC approach, though. I mean, you got to take risks, right? And you feel like you're going to be later to imp anyways, so go for a big Vil count. Here goes Dracken chasing the spearman. The spearman's like, hey, monk, can I leave you now? Because they're trying to convert me. And the monk's like, no, stay in line. We must bring this relic to our god. Good thing the spearman's there, actually, because the scout is looped around. And... yep. Monk survives. That'll be 3 relics for Margougou. 4th one is here. There's light cab upgrade and the units on patrol. And the next one just got snagged. Margougou was thinking he could get close to it. But, you know, he was keeping an eye on it for a while. I think he brought his units back because of these monks. Res collected now. Higher for Dracken. And there go the light caps to Dracken. You might as well try and convert. Actually, we even had atonement for Margougou. So he could just convert these monks if he wants to. But I think you just want to get rid of them. So you could kill that and then convert this. And this is really good play. And Dracken deletes it. He'd rather die than have to worship your god. Nice play. Castle going up for Dracken. Little risky, right? He has no army to protect this now. But he does think the light cav are going to take some time to get over, which is true. And we'll see Dracken click up to Imp here shortly. Castle still could be denied. He doesn't have a second building, like a university or a siege workshop, so he's waiting for the castle to complete to be able to click up. Dracken doesn't know there's relics here. Margougou has actually just re-patrolled the light cav, or no, he's just clicked him away. Drakken's paying attention. Dracken kills that monk. Dracken will complete the castle. Margougou's still producing more light cav. I feel like you've got 3 relics. You already have light cav on the field. Spending food on more light cav? Not sure I love that. But he might also feel like it's not the end of the world because he's melee and he's going to zoom to the next stage anyways. What units will we see out of Dracken? Right now, he's making Ratha, guys. The unique unit, which I feel is just worse than most of the options for the Bengalis. I think the unit design is really cool, but the unit... Okay, how do I not be too opinionated here? Screw it, I'm going to be opinionated. I think the unit design is really cool, but I think the devs just kind of gave up on it because they gave the Bengalis so many other bonuses. It's a shame to me that the fact that this can do melee attack and ranged attack is never really truly explored because this unit can just die up against skirms. I think Elephant Archer is probably the Bengalis' best unit. I actually think it's borderline OP off a big boom. Really hard to counter that. And it might be what Dracken opts to do here. Margougou hoping to rush the Imp timing, hoping to win a Treb War here. And there's the castle, but I mean, your castle's not going to be up. But we'll see what the timing's like. He will be an Imperial Age faster. Yeah, Dracken just making Rathas now to use the melee mode to combat against the light cav. And Margougou is going to wall this side so he doesn't have to deal with it. Now, you get 2 villagers from each TC upon arriving to the Imperial Age with the Bengalis now, too. So there will be a massive eco lead for Dracken. And now Margougou's an Imp, but like we said, the timing wasn't quite there so he could make his Treb right away. Dracken knows about that castle. And he will just be slightly later to Trebs, it feels like. But still, being later to Trebuchets is a factor here. Even being later to things like Bombard Cannons could be a factor. And Elephant Archers aren't cheap. What really makes them strong is all the upgrades. Good luck getting all the upgrades when you also need to compete in a Treb War. Now, there is another castle for Dracken? Oh, has that been there the whole time? It must have been. I'm sorry. I'm like, he's queuing up 2 Trebs. How? Okay, that was a bit of a derp moment. My bad. Well, that's a big deal. He's got 2 castles versus 1 then in the Treb War. And if that's the case, then he should probably choose to just repair this. So you don't prioritize Elephant Archer just yet. You just win the Treb War and then adapt. And there will be Bombard Cannons coming out for Margougou. Now, there's not a lot of monks for Dracken, so he hasn't considered something like Redemption. But I'm a bit worried that the position could be lost here for Margougou. He's arrived to Imp. He wants to take the fight against his opponent using the timings. But he's behind an eco. And his castle will likely go down unless these Bombard Cannons have enough to take out those Trebs. Now, of course, Margougou has an opportunity to then take out all of the castles with the Bombard Cannons. But this is going to give Dracken time, and Great defense from Dracken. Seriously. Great recovery from some of the things that went wrong for him at the start. He'll see the bombard cannons now. And he's going to aim to mix in some other units here while he holds. Now, he's currently tasked his trebs onto the trebs from Margougou and taken one. Now he sees the bombard cannons, and Margougou needs to micro. And he does micro. So they both lost the treb. It feels like for now, if Dracken can just back up, as he backs away just in time and just repair this, just get army on the field. Like, he's got stables coming out, and he really wants to go for light cav. Light cav feels so good because Margougou has seen Elephant Archer, and he's like, oh my god, he's committed to Elephant Archer. Let's go skirms. Skirms and monks. What could go wrong? Well, if your opponent goes for cav, it's going to go very wrong. And Dracken, sorry, really building up the cav right now. I think you don't want to lose this castle, but if you end up losing this castle so you're able to clear all of this, it's kind of okay. I think keeping the trebs alive is the most important thing. Anyways, clearly he doesn't want to lose this castle as he shows up with the light cav. That should kill most of the monks here. So all the monks will go down. The skirms then don't offer too much. The bombard cannons need to back away. This could allow Dracken to then take the treb. And if Dracken wins 2-1 here, my friends, it will shock a lot of people. Not Dracken himself, but a lot of people. And it all comes back to how solid he plays, even when things start to go a little bit wrong for him. And obviously that game 1 victory, because we always knew on his home map he would maybe be favorite. We've got a siege tower for Margougou. I refuse to believe he intentionally made a siege tower, but he's made a second one. Huh? I just don't see the situation here that where a siege tower could have success, but he could hide his skirms inside of the siege tower. You know you're in a bad spot when you're dying to only light cav at this point. The treb will go down for Margougou. Siege towers aren't cheap either. Now the bombard cannon goes down, and he's desperate, guys. He's queuing up a bunch of archers. Look at his unit queue. He clearly doesn't have the timings right. He's got pikes on the way too. But this is Dracken's opportunity to start to take out that castle. Now, the siege towers are a distraction. But behind it, Dracken has massed more elephant archers. He's getting more upgrades. Light cav elephant archer could be good, but we're not finished yet because a bombard cannon pops out. Boom. Snipes the weak treb before there were any repairs from Dracken. And we haven't seen the unique tech yet as the bombard cannon goes down, but we haven't seen the unique tech yet for the elephant archers. We haven't seen elite elephant archer yet. I think Parthians may be missing. Like, there's a lot of techs that are still missing here. They're not quite their strongest, but now that the castle's down, though, it feels like Dracken can freely fight. Dracken's at 158 villagers. Such a ridiculous economy. And he ended up getting 2 relics, which is just sick. There's the unique tech. So now the elephant archers are going to attack 20% faster. And there's the other unique tech. So now 10% of your eco's population. Or how do I word it? I know like 90% of you know. The Mahayana tech means that 10% of your eco population is freed up for military. So basically, instead of 158 pop, it feels like, what would it be, 140 for your eco. So you can float additional economy. And it really suits the Bengalis because elephant archers are really expensive. Each villa is 90% or 9/10 of each pop space. Yeah, that's one way to say it as well. Eco upgrades that weren't researched before are being researched now from Dracken. All the production from Margougou is in the middle of the map. And it's really difficult when you're behind and trying to produce to focus on exactly where the units are going. I mean, we're seeing misclicks here. Cav archers with melee, not really a thing. These are just misclicks. But yeah, I think for Dracken, like, something you can do now that you have this position is you can start to think about maybe some raids over on this side. And then maybe just waiting till you have elite elephant archer before making a push. Wait till you've fully popped. And yeah, there's elite elephant archer. And final armor. So I think then they might be fully up. And you need like 40 skirms to one-shot them. And then, of course, the cav that's in front is going to be really tough for the skirms to deal with. Yeah, let's see this. Yeah, we don't have any action in the middle. Would maybe be something for Margougou to try because this isn't looking good, but... Yeah, this went late game for Dracken. Just boomed, and he out-boomed the melee. So maybe more people should be picking the Bengalis and playing like this. Pretty soon, full upgrades on all the units fighting here. Both unique techs are in for Dracken. And here we go. Now, the Halbs obviously could do well against the light cab, but look how many shots it takes to kill an elephant archer. If there's light cab in front, it should always be cost effective. The Halbs are going to die to the elephant archers. There's more and more elephant archers coming. I'd actually really like to see Onager as a choice from Dracken. I think that'd make a lot of sense. But Margougou's probably thinking, like, this is a series I needed to win here. This means that I could still be relegated. This means I might not make playoffs. Like, all of his aspirations relied on a victory here. Margougou still hasn't lost a ton of control, though. He still does have lots of skirms, which is why I do feel like Onager would make sense. There's still gold available here. I assume that he's seen that, but, oh, man, he's just losing so much ground. And, guys, the last 2 weeks of TTL has just brought in some really interesting results. Like, I mean, this whole season is just like all the other seasons. Had some big surprises. And maybe we should stop being surprised by Dracken here. And Calpit, I'm with you. Rip my prediction of 2-1 Margougou. Rip the guy's prediction earlier who was like, has to be a victory for Margougou. 3-0, probably, but maybe 2-1. I feel like Margougou's biggest fan is always here, and then poor Margougou struggles when he shows up, you know? Oh, man. I mean, this is just... You're just constantly losing ground. And it's, you got 50 army. You have good army numbers if you're Margougou, but you just can't approach this. That is 6,000 HP on 22 units. It takes so much to kill these things. And even though, you know, light cav are going to die, there's always going to be more light cav on the way. The Trebs will slowly keep taking down the buildings. Still would love to see Onager. Like, I don't see a single reason why Onager hasn't been researched here. Except for maybe just the cost of more elephant archers. Progress is being made. Margougou refuses to call it when he's at 190 pop, and you can't blame him. And Dracken happy with his eco at home. Happy with his stone and gold control. Look at all the stones that he could actually take here. So that could lead to more castles. The 19 elephant archers have 85 kills. It's just so pop efficient, this type of build, but it's so expensive to get to, which is what ultimately Margougou was looking to punish, right? Margougou was hoping to stop the Bengalis from being able to get this mass. It was such a smart play from Dracken to stop producing them, though, after he showed them, and then going full light cav. It completely surprised Margougou. Margougou had no clue it was coming. Now, we see a castle here from Margougou. I've said this before on Hideout. Building a castle on the wood is a really poor idea. You'll see why in a second. You might think it's a good idea because you think your opponent is going to chop through to you and you want to kill those vills or something. But then if they add Trebs on the other side, there's absolutely nothing you can do to hit their trebuchets, which is going to be the concern there. I'm assuming Dracken's going to notice it. He's currently focusing on the main fight and pushing forward with Trebs here. And he's doing a fantastic job. Margougou could maybe chop through there, though, so maybe that protects that area. Margougou still has more pop. But the elephant archers are too good. It's one of the strongest units in the game, Bengali elephant archers. On the back of a civ that has some really great economic bonuses and great unique techs. And pretty soon, Margougou is not going to have any castles. Again, I expect Dracken to eventually notice this and treb that down. Maybe it won't happen. But you just don't kill this many elephant archers in a 1v1 game if they get to it. It's just too freaking hard to stop. Margougou, still with a good pop. Making more production buildings. Trying to mass more skirms. He's like, skirms is supposed to be my counter. We've got this. Still waiting for Dracken to maybe notice. Dracken sending more villagers to wood right now. He's only got 5 on wood. But finally, Margougou's population starting to drop a bit here. And of course, it's not going to be very good for him everywhere you look, right? Like, all these buildings here are producing. They're going to have to eject eventually. The skirms are all getting clamped down on by the light cap. This game is over. A big result here for Dracken. An amazing result for this group, and things get really interesting. I can't wait to look at the probabilities now. And it makes, like, all the sets so interesting. Already would have been fascinating, but... And Margougou starting to lose his main eco now. Margougou down to 150 pop. Lycav's destroying villagers and destroying ranges. And the GG's called. Dracken gets the job done. 2 platinum for you is what his name is on the draft. And he didn't make a lot of monks today, actually. Margougou was actually the one who made more monks than Dracken did in this series. And what Dracken would have wanted is he would have wanted a win on the neutral map. That would have given him his best chance, and that was game 1, and then obviously a win here on his home map. Now, Margougou played this game really well, though. I really did. I just think the main thing was he allowed the 4 TC boom to happen for too long, and then the timings weren't exactly there with the Trebor, right? It was 1 castle versus 2. This castle wasn't quite up on time, and those are just the things that are really tricky to balance in these types of maps, and Bengalis are tough to break. What he did is he protected himself from the all-in monk play that Bengalis can sometimes do, and Dracken was like, I don't need to do that. I'm just going to take this to late game, please, and thank you. 86,000 resources collected, or 87 from Dracken, 78,000 then from Margougou, so obviously a pretty big economic difference there. And the pop efficiency, the KD, everything was just incredible for him. And now things get shaken up quite massively in the group. That's just the screenshot from their scheduling room a week ago, but we're looking for this. And let's see what Statafrax has for us, guys. Bear with me here. Okay, so here we have it. So odds-wise, a lot can happen. A lot more than I thought could happen between the bottom 3 right now. Obviously, Miguel has less odds than anyone to go from, to stay alive and be 4th and up. But even still, if you were to add that all up, that's like a 20% chance for him. Dracken now has 25% chance of getting 4th, 10% chance of getting into the playoffs in 3rd, and a 4% chance of getting 2nd. And then Margougou could even get 1st in this group. Like, this group is really, really close. But, there's still that 40% odds that he's relegated. So we'll have to see. Now, again, ACCM Miguel is next. If Miguel doesn't get a single win there, I think it is very difficult for him. He needs at least 1 win. And the positive for Miguel would be that he plays Dracken on the final week. Maybe he gets a series win there with a 2-1 or a 3-0 or something. Yeah, all the remaining sets are here. The next one that's actually going to take place, though, is ACCM Miguel. So we'll look forward to that before, I guess, we would start officially round 4, which would be these 3 sets. And then round 5 would be these 3 sets.